Hi guys, welcome back to today's video. Happy New Year, you guys. It is January 1st and you know what that means? It means the wrap-up videos, the best and the worst books of the year. Today's video is going to be my top however many. I did not do top 10. I read 90 books this year, and so I felt like top 10 was a little too little. It was just too small. So I have a selection of books here. I have some physical books, and then I have a piece of paper with all of the books I read on my Kindle or that are just back in my dorm that I didn't bring with me. And yeah, we're gonna go through all of them. I have a bunch of books up here. Stay tuned. I'm gonna be doing my wrap-up video, which is gonna be the longest one. And then I'm going to be doing like a superlative video, which is gonna be like best book, worst book, best boy, worst boy, all of those kind of things. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoy. Okay, everyone, in no particular order, I have all the books with me here, but I'm going to be doing my top 3 at the end. Okay, let's get started. First we have The Song of Achilles. This book blew up on TikTok, and for good reason. I read this year in the beginning, kind of, and basically this is a Greek mythology story following Prince Achilles and Patroclus and their forbidden queer romance. And Madeline Miller's writing is just stunning and beautiful, and it's almost like gut-wrenchingly painful to read in a way of just like it's a tragic love story. These two people cannot be together, and it's just so sad, but just these two characters love and care for one another so deeply, and I loved it. I was in awe whenever I finished it. I listened to the audiobook and then I also read it at the same time, and I couldn't highly recommend it enough. Next, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses. I read this towards the end of the year, and y'all, I mean, come on, everyone and their mothers rave about this series, but I loved this book. I loved the characters. Feyre was just such a strong, independent woman, and I love reading about that in books personally, so watching this fantasy world unfold was just so beautiful. And once again, the writing, I think I'm really going to enjoy the rest of the series and Sarah J Maas's writing in Throne of Glass and all of her other stuff. So I'm very excited to get into the series. Next, we have The Midnight Library. This, once again, blew up on social media in 2021, I believe. And this is a fiction story. Matt Haig is really known for writing stories including mental illness and mental health, and he kind of turns those issues into a fictional story. And so this follows a woman named Nora, and she decides to end her life, and with that she ends up in this kind of like purgatory world, not heaven or hell, and it's called the Midnight Library. And in that library there's infinite amount of books where she can open them up, and it ends up being like a life that she could have lived if she just said yes to this one thing or said no to this one thing, So you're following the book, and you're following her going into all of these different worlds, trying to find like her happy world. And it's just, obviously without spoiling it, it's just such a beautiful tale of finding yourself and finding love in yourself and contentment with yourself and the world. And I just think it's such a beautiful story, and it's really short. And yeah, the next book is no surprise. We have The Hawthorne Legacy. This is the UK edition. This is the second book in the Inheritance Game series. I love this book. This is my favorite book out of the whole series. Very excited to read all the new books that she's going to be coming out soon, hopefully in 2023 and 24. I love this. Obviously it's kind of hard to talk about like a sequel, but basically the Inheritance Games deals with Avery Grams, I think is her last name, and she basically gets told that she's inherited billions of dollars from this gazillionaire in Texas named Tobias Hawthorne. She has no idea who this man is, and so she comes to like the court hearing to hear about the will and all that kind of stuff, and everyone's just like, who is this random girl and why is she getting all of his money, basically. And part of the will is she cannot inherit this money unless she lives in the Hawthorne house, the Hawthorne mansion in Texas, for a year. And within that Hawthorne mansion are some very attractive grandsons of Tobias Hawthorne. And so there's a little love triangle going on between two of the boys. There's just a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns and mysteries to unfold. And this one is just icing on the cake. It's my favorite one. I absolutely love it. And if you are wanting a YA mystery tale with a little bit of love, a little bit of, you know, that kind of stuff, highly, highly recommend. Also, another book to kind of be hard to talk about, but we have As Good as Dead. This is the third and final book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. This is my favorite book out of the series. Personally, I loved it. It's the biggest one and not people's favorites, but I loved it because it was just more darker than the other books. This one I felt like had more scary turns in it, and obviously it's very hard to talk about this, but basically, if I can remember, I read A Good Girls Guide to Murder more than a year ago, but in A Good Girl's Guide, let me see if I have the book right here actually. This is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it's a YA murder mystery series, and you follow Pip. Is that her name? Pip. And in the first book, she is kind of unfolding for like a project that she's working on for her college essay or something, and she is unfolding and going back into this murder that happened years before at her high school of this girl named Andy Bell, and it was closed, but she thinks that something is a little fishy about it, so she kind of goes deep into it. Things get found out, twists get turned, plots get thickened. It's really good, and I just loved the third book so much. So if you haven't read this series yet, please do. There's some romance even. It's hilarious too. I love the banter in this book, and yeah, highly recommend, y'all. Okay, next, a little kind of twist. We have Better Than the Movies. I did not think that this was going to be on my top favorites, but the more I think about this book and just how I felt after reading this, I was so giddy. I loved the romance in this. This is a YA romance, and it follows a girl named Liz whose mother passed when she was younger, but she just still has a lot of grief dealing with that. And Liz, loves romance movies, loves rom-coms. She's never had a boyfriend, but her dream is to, like, you know, find a boy and live this rom-com fantasy, right? And there's this boy that she's always just had feelings for, who moves back to town, and so she makes a deal with her neighbor Wes, who, for their own reasons, they have a deal to fake date a little bit. It's just really good. It's just so good. It's so cute. There's all types of cute tropes in this. Also, what I like is it kind of goes against tropes. It kind of breaks the fourth wall. Liz, she's a huge reader too, and so she comments on like enemies to lovers and fake dating tropes and stuff, and I love when authors do that. But yeah, it was just so precious, so cute. I will be rereading this in 2023. I know I will. But yes, if you want something fluffy and cute and sweet and just to make you kick your legs, this is the book for y'all. Next, y'all, come on, I had to include a Coho book. We have Hopeless. This is Losing Hope. This is the second book in the Hopeless series, but I don't have Hopeless with me. Hopeless broke me in so many ways, okay? And a lot of people have their hates, you know, their likes and dislikes with Coho in general, but also just with Hopeless. It has a lot of dark topics, okay? Dark, deep, traumatic topics. And Coho, in the beginning, kind of, her writing's a little immature, okay? But it's just the story. The plot seriously had me on the floor. I was crying throughout the whole series. I was so invested in each and every one of the characters. Holder, one of my favorite book boys. I can't express to you enough the impact that this series as a whole did to me, but especially Hopeless. So if you have not read this series, please, look into the trigger warnings. Y'all, look into them. There's a lot, okay? But I highly recommend reading the series, the novellas. They're just all so beautiful, so great. It's amazing, y'all. I mean, come on, it's amazing. But anyways, next we have The Silent Patient. I forgot that I read this in 2022. I thought I read it in 21. But this, who hasn't seen this cover, y'all? I mean, come on. This is a thriller with one of the coolest twists I've ever read in my life. Like, I just was not prepared to, I'm terrible at guessing twists and stuff like that, and you'll just be reading it and all of a sudden, boom, the twist happens. And it, like, I had to, like, reread it a few times because I was like, what? That, what? 5 out of 5, y'all. I mean, this book, so good. My goal, I want to read more thrillers in 2023 because I barely read any. I read like 3. And that's not a lot, y'all. So, The Silent Patient. If you have not read it, you need to. Now, on to the final physical book that I have. But trust me, this is not the least. It is phenomenal. We have Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is a queer romance. This is becoming a movie. You follow Prince Wales, Henry, and then you follow Alex, who is the President of the United States' son. And you follow their little forbidden enemies to lovers romance. And it is so good. And it's a thick book, but their banter is hilarious. I was laughing my butt off. Alex is so funny, and I cannot wait for this to be on screen, y'all. I'm so excited. But now we're gonna be talking about the books that I do not have with me, not including my top 3, because come on, we're not gonna include those. But we have The Infinity Between Us. If I can, I'm gonna insert a picture somewhere, either here or here, of what that cover looks like. But the Infinity Between Us, I read on my Kindle, and that is a Childhood Friends to Lovers second chance romance. Okay, and y'all know Love in Other Words is one of my favorite romances of all time, and that is the same trope: second chance, friends to lovers. But in Love in Other Words, the meaning behind them not, you know, like being friends for a long time was just kind of dumb. But then in The Infinity Between Us, it was like, I totally understand why they stopped being friends for a while. They stopped talking. And it was just so good. I thought the writing, and S. Perkins, I've never read a book by her. This is my first book, and I will be reading more of her books for sure. I believed the romance. I thought just the story was just so beautiful. I mean, come on, it's beach setting. You follow 2 people who lived right next door to one another. They're friends, their families are friends, they become best friends, turns into lovers. Something, you know, an event occurs to where they have to stop being friends, and then it comes back. And they're like in their 30s, and they haven't spoken since they were like 18, 19 years old. And so the tension's still there, the love is still there, and it's just so beautiful. And I love it. I love it so much, and I couldn't, you know, I'm gonna be saying this with all the books, but I couldn't recommend it enough. Now, the final physical book, before we go into my top 3, is Malibu Rising. This one, and why I put it really close to top 3, is because, honestly, it could have been my top 3. Malibu Rising was such a beautiful book. It's a fiction book by my girl, Taylor Jenkins Reid. And she just knows how to write a really good story about a family. I love a good family dynamic story, and Malibu Rising did that. It's a bunch of Hollywood gossip. I can't even describe what that book is about. It just follows this big Hollywood family and all the secrets that get unfolded through them. And yeah, I love it so much. So good. Okay, everyone, the time has come for my top 3 books of 2022, y'all. Let's just get started. The first book, we have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This book is a spicy hockey ballerina romance. It hit all the marks for me, y'all. It hit all the marks. Read it on my Kindle. I can't express to you my love for this book and the characters, and I'm going to be reading the rest of this series whenever it comes out. The main girl, Anastasia, such a strong and powerful woman. She knows what she wants. She just doesn't need a man, and she knows that. She wants a man. And I love that so much. And this was kind of a reverse golden retriever, like, you know, Grumpy Sunshine. It was kind of reverse. the girl was more of the grumpy, and the guy, I forget his name, but Nathan, the hockey player, he was just this happy bowl of sunshine, and he was so cute, and really just kind of from the get-go had feelings for Anastasia. And I just thought that it was written so well, and I believed it. And that's like one of the first things I look at in a romance, is if I believe their romance. And yeah, I love it so much. But if you are not wanting a spicy book, please do not read that, because it is a very spicy book, but not in like a dark way. There's just a lot of sex, but is it necessary to the plot? Maybe not all of it. But for me, I think it did it really well. I think it was written really well, and it didn't really bother me too much, in my opinion. But next, and these two, 1 and 2, took me forever to really realize what is like my 1 and 2, okay? It took me a long time. And this might shake some of y'all up, but my number 2 is the Shatter Me series. Yeah, I know. Y'all might have thought that it was number 1, maybe. But number 2 in specific is Ignite Me, because it is my favorite book out of the series. I love the Shatter Me series. We know this. I talk about it all the time. Talk about Aaron Warner all the time. I'm on my knees for that man. It is number 2. Okay? It is number 2. The series, Juliet, such a strong female character. You have a love triangle. You have amazing side characters. You have Kenji, you know, amazing side characters. You have this beautiful world that's being, you know, discovered and opened up to us, and I just think it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal, and I even loved it so much that I bought the author's newest book too, so very excited about that. But y'all, I wonder what my number 1 book is. I wonder. I know y'all are wondering it too. I know. And this honestly is not a surprise. Not, like, once y'all know that Shatter Me is number 2, I bet you a few of you can kind of guess what's number 1. Yeah. Okay, everyone. It is time to tell y'all what my top book of 2022 is. Can we get a drum roll somewhere back home? I'm just kidding. It is Heartstopper. Come on. Did we really have to guess? Did we really have to think hard about that one? No. I love Heartstopper. I love Alice Osman. I think they're a great flipping author. I literally have I have all their books, and I love them so much. And Alice knows how to write a sweet and pure romance that deals with topics that need to be talked about and are dealt with in such a beautiful and wonderful way. And Nick Nelson and Charlie Spring have my whole heart. Okay, I love them. I love Heartstopper, and thank you guys so much for a phenomenal year, and here's to hopefully 100 books in 2023, and hopefully more of y'all joining this lovely community. And yeah, I will see y'all in the next video. Once again, stay tuned with all of my wrap-up content, and I love you guys. Bye!